FPL Game Week 2 transfer targets. We've had a week of the FPL season and now we've got one free transfer to use every week. And there are lots of cracks forming all over FPL and in our teams as well. So today I'm going to take you through some of the top players I think you should be considering buying into your team, whether you need a replacement for the likes of Nkunku, whether you need a replacement for Kwanzaa, looking for a new forward. We'll cover all of that in the video today. What is up everyone, FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, 1,412 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you're new around here as well. And today we are having a look at some top players to buy going into game week 2. Of course, lots of things have happened in FPL, which might mean we are trying to reshuffle our squads a little bit. And you know, nothing is plain sailing in FPL. Our squads we built that we thought would be perfect in game week 1 are not looking quite as perfect anymore. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. Before we do that, all the video taken from these videos is taken from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. I'm, of course, pulling most of it from the app, which is out now as well for members, and get all of those perks on your mobile phone. If you want to get articles, if you want to look at data comparisons, all of that, fixture tickers, you can do that. So check it out with the link in the description for a bit of a discount as well. And actually, the number one player is a player I didn't go with in game week 1, but now I wish I went with in game week 1, and I am absolutely considering bringing him into my team going into game week 2, and that is Eze of Crystal Palace. Yes, he blanked in game week 1. Quite how he didn't get any return. He got an assist, which was a very, very marginal questionable offside, and of course he scored a free kick, which should have stood, but the ref blew his whistle. He didn't get any returns, but he absolutely looked like a player who was going to get a lot of FPL points this season. Looking at the upcoming fixtures as well, there's 3 green in the next 5, and the 2 others are Chelsea and Manchester United. Both games, I fully expect Eze to be able to go and get something in. Of course, Mateta came straight back into the Crystal Palace lineup, which was a bit of a doubt, potentially why I wasn't certain of starting with Eze, because I wasn't sure Mateta was going to be ready. If he was, I probably would have started with him, and we do know he's back. So it does look like Eze at 7 million is still a great buy, and if you don't have him and you're looking for an Nkunku sale or something like that, I really like Eze at 7 million, and the fixtures are great. Next up is up front, and that is Kai Havertz. Probably one of the biggest regrets, not necessarily regrets because I didn't have a massive way to get him into my team, but one of the players I look at that I think is absolutely going to smash it this season, and that is Kai Havertz of Arsenal. At the end of last season, he actually outscored Ollie Watkins in terms of when Kai Havertz moved to a striker. So in that role, he is a fantastic buy. 8 million for a forward is definitely one of, if not the best forward to be considering into your team at the moment. If you've got that money, he should come over pretty much every forward that you'd be considering buying. You look at the fixtures, there may be some in there that you don't love, but the way Kai Havertz looks like he wants to be scoring goals at the end of last season and going into this season as well. Of course, a goal and an assist in game week 1 as well, but still just 15% owned. Absolutely love his link up with the likes of Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, his aerial ability, his ability on the ball, his hold-up play. He is a fantastic option at Arsenal, and I think he's going to have a fantastic FPL season. I think he'll be one of the highest scoring forwards, and 8 million just feels like a great price for him. Next up, another player who did quite well in game week 1 was Diogo Jota, and I just look at him and think he's going to be pretty focal to what Liverpool are doing in game week 1 and going forward as well. Yes, of course, there was a risk of Darwin Núñez, but he didn't play any minutes in game week 1. Jota is a player when they create the big chances, which is what they're looking to do in Arne Slot's new system. Jota is the player who's likely to finish it. We saw it with the goal that, of course, Diogo Jota scored. Salah in that position normally would have shot if it had someone like Darwin Núñez, but he knows Jota is able to finish those chances. Squared it to him and into the back of the net it went. He, of course, scored. He didn't play full 90, but played about 75 minutes, which was pretty reliable. The opening fixtures for them as well look absolutely fantastic. For me, 7.5 million is going to be a really nice price, and I do expect him to start the majority of matches for them, particularly until we get Champions League starting as well. 7.5 million, again, if you're not happy with Gordon, you've got an Odegaard, a Fernandes you're looking to sell. Jota with those fixtures just looks like a great buy. Next up is Muniz of Fulham. Again, if you are looking for a cheap forward, of course, Fulham played Manchester United in game week 1. He got 2 points, and a lot of the other, well, all the Fulham players did blank in game week 1. But it is the fixtures from game week 2 that do start to look really nice. So if you own him, definitely don't go selling him, which I am seeing some people do, because of course a blank means that some people sell him early on in the season. But the next 5 fixtures, they have a better run than pretty much every single team in the Premier League at the moment. Leicester at home this week, we saw how they defended against Spurs. Ipswich, we saw how they defended against Liverpool. And then West Ham didn't defend particularly well against Aston Villa as well. 6 million for their starting forward. He's definitely going to be involved. Absolutely could have had chances in that Manchester United game as well. Love the opening fixtures. He is a great cheap price. If you're looking for a cheap forward, for me, Muniz is probably the best one, unless you can afford Kai Havertz. Next up are two 6.5 million options at Manchester City in both Bernardo Silva and Doku as well. Now, with Savinho looking like he might not be playing for the next couple of games, Jack Grealish is still out of favour. It looks like both Bernardo Silva and Doku feel pretty nailed. They're the same price. Now, they might not necessarily play the same role. Bernardo Silva will play some minutes in central midfield, some on the right wing, and then we'll have Doku playing pretty much all of it on either the left wing or the right wing, depending on who the other winger is they go with. Is it a Foden or is it a Jack Grealish? Now, in terms of FPL points and consistency, Bernardo Silva has that slightly better historical data. He's the one that's been sort of slightly more nailed, ticking along very nicely. However, Doku is that explosive player. I don't love him in a City shirt, the way he links up with other players, but in terms of a direct footballer, he is very talented and he has the ability to absolutely destroy teams who don't know how to defend one-on-one. And we saw that particularly with the team they're playing in Game Week 2, Ipswich, struggling to defend one-on-one duels with Salah and with a few others in that Game Week 1 fixture. Doku, for me, at 6.5 is definitely the punt. We've got Bernardo Silva probably feeling slightly safer. Both of them are great picks. If I had to pick one to recommend, I probably would just about go Bernardo Silva, but I do think it's pretty close. Now, next up, we're going back to Fulham, and it is Smith-Rowe, 5.5 million. Now, if you're looking for a cheap midfielder, I absolutely think he should be on radar. Just like with the reasons we spoke about with Muniz, the fixtures are really nice over the next 5. Not many teams at his price in particular, if you're looking at an asset, have a fixture run quite like Smith-Rowe does. The fixtures are there. Now, the form was good in pre-season. He only played 65 minutes in the game against Manchester United, but I think that was more of a tactical thing, him coming off a little bit earlier. We know he's not fully up to speed and fully match fit to be playing 90 minutes, and that might be something that slightly puts you off. However, we know he has goal scoring ability. We saw it at Arsenal and we've seen it in Fulham in pre-season. He had a couple of chances in Game Week 1, nothing really to show for it though. The fixtures are really what people are banking on, and we do expect Fulham to score goals, right? You might not have space in your forward line to buy Muniz. We might look at Robinson in defence as well. But if you're looking at a 5.5, he probably is the one to buy at the moment. You could look at a Hudson-Odoi, but they weren't massively impressive going forward. You could look at a Minte at Brighton, but he's yellow flagged, and the opening couple of fixtures from now are not the best as well. Those couple of players definitely have to be options further down the line, but if you're looking to buy one for Game Week 2, surely it has to be Smith-Rowe. Finishing off with a couple of defenders going back to Crystal Palace. So with Eze, they have a really nice option, and they have Munoz along with Mitchell, both at 5 million, their wing backs. I would just about favour Munoz. He is the one, of course, who picked up an assist in Game Week 1 through the own goal that was scored for Crystal Palace, or by Brentford, for the Crystal Palace goal effectively. 5 million. He's one that was in some of my drafts in pre-season. I really like the fixtures. I just think he gets so far forward. If you watch the games, he's an eye test type of player. He plays almost as a right wing, not right back, for a lot of the minutes, especially when they're attacking. He puts so many crosses into the box. They are pretty solid defensively as well. They are good going forward, and he's very vocal. He comes in and plays central at times as well. When you watch him, you'll want to own Muniz in your team, and we saw that in Game Week 1 as well, and we saw it at the end of last season under this new Crystal Palace system as well, and it does look like most of them are going to stay, so I do expect them to have a very strong season. Looking at their fixtures, of course, West Ham at home, Leicester at home, Everton away in 3 of the next 5 are absolutely fixtures you can potentially get some clean sheets in. Even against Chelsea and Manchester United, I wouldn't have a problem at all with playing Munoz. He has great attacking threat. He does have the ability for goals and assists. They can keep clean sheets in these games as well. I would just about favour going with Munoz over going with Mitchell on the other side. I do think it's pretty close between the two, but just the historical data would favour Munoz. And then one final player, probably the one that you're all waiting to see if you're looking to make a defender transfer and you've got Barco, or you've got Kwanzaa, or you've got Pedro Porro. If he is a doubt, of course, we don't quite know at the moment on Pedro Porro, is Robinson of Fulham. Again, those Fulham fixtures over the next 5 look great. He was top of the bonus points in the Manchester United-Fulham game until Manchester United scored. So that is a great thing moving forward, that if they keep clean sheets, he may well get bonus points. He was putting balls into the box. He was playing almost as a left wing, despite it being against Manchester United. And now they've got the fixtures over the next 5 that look absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for a 4.5 million defender for this week that you need to play them, he looks great. Of course, there are a few others that you could look to buy, like a Kwanzaa or a Pau Torres Aston Villa. They look like good options going forward, or a Dunk at Brighton. The issue is Dunk plays Manchester United this week, and then, of course, Aston Villa play against Arsenal. So if you need them this week and need them for the next few weeks, to completely ignore those fixtures, Fulham have the best run out of any of those teams. Those next 5, there are clean sheets there. Now, online data for defensive ability is not fantastic. They're not as good as a Brighton. They're not as good as a Crystal Palace. They're not as good as a Brentford. They're not as good as a Aston Villa, who you could potentially look to invest at a similar price. But the fixtures are there, the attacking threat is there, and they are not bad defensively, and they continue to look like they want to strengthen defensively in the transfer market as well. So right now, he's my number one pick at that 4.5 million defender price point. Of course, normally in this video, we have a slightly longer list of players, but at the moment, there are not quite as many transfers people are looking to make, and it's very specific, pain points that people are looking to transfer out, like a midfielder in Nkunku, like a defender in Kwanzaa, like a forward if you're not happy with one of them as well. So I've tried to specifically discuss a few players that you're really looking to look at. A few punts that you could potentially look at, of course, is Rico Lewis. He looks like a great option in defence if you want him for a short term, but I do expect Kyle Walker to come back in at some point. So normally in these videos, we might discuss a little bit more, but going into game week 2, it is very specific things that you are looking for answers to, and I hope they've answered that in this video as well. Apologies that this video is slightly later than it usually would be. I have been recording a slightly different and exciting video, which will be out on the channel in the next 2 weeks or so, depending on when I have time to edit it and how everything falls together as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you're subscribed to get a reminder when that video does go live. Something a little bit different that I haven't done before as well. Thank you so much for watching. Drop any questions you have about your transfers going into game week 2 in the comment section down below. My team selection will be out tomorrow. We'll have final decisions and then another deadline stream. Thank you so much for watching. 1,412 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here, and I'll be back again very soon.